Hey, welcome back to Open. Don't forget, I was inviting you to get social with us. Talk to One Day Woman, right? That's right. Tweet us at BronxNet TV. That's 2 T's. And while you're there, tweet me, One Day Woman, at Rino Valentin. I forgot the bracelets. All right. Back to our regularly scheduled program, Telling Our Stories. That's right. Telling Our Stories is an event to give survivors of domestic violence and intimate partner violence a safe space to share their stories. And, well, there will also be information to provide help to those who may be currently experiencing or have experienced domestic violence and are having issues speaking up. It is an opportunity to come together as a community and heal together. So here to share more is the associate editor of the Bronx Chronicle, Kathleen Canzoniero, and CEO of Devil Dog USA Inc., Sergeant Gonzalo Duran. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having us, by the way.
Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for being a part of an event that I feel is really, we've only just tapped into the issues of domestic violence. So before we begin, can we just discuss the association and the affiliations of the organizations for this event?
Do you want to take care of that?
Well, when it comes to my association, it's pretty much just me deciding to do this event. I had some personal medical issues recently that I had to go through, and it sort of forced me to realize that this is something that I wanted to do. And I've always had it in the back of my mind that this is something that I wanted to do, but unfortunately I let self-doubt always stop me from doing it.
So when you say this is always something that you want to do, are you referring to being a voice for this cause or putting an event together? What exactly are you referencing?
It's a little bit of both. So it's putting an event together, but it does specifically have to do with domestic violence. And pretty much what happened was that when I decided to do this, I knew I needed help. So that's when I reached out to Sergeant Gonzalo Duran, and he's been on board ever since.
Okay, so when you helped her, did you help her from a situation, or I'm trying to get to the root of this here. I'm like, okay, we're here to talk about an event, but you ended up in the hospital. I'm going, hey, wait, what's going on?
Let's clear this up.
Okay.
So what happened
We got
was
the sergeant.
yeah.
I'm like, she called her sergeant buddy.
So she's been a longtime friend of mine. She's seen how I operate and the things I do. Since I'm a national figurehead for a lot of things, she just asked for help. Now, most of the events that I do always happen to have veteran scuba, veteran poker, veteran whatever. But until I'm propositioned to anything, I'm just sitting around playing golf. Now,
Can't be
I
that.
know, right?
He's like, I'm just sitting around playing golf.
The good life.
Now she said,
I want to be you when I get older.
she said she wanted to do something. It took me 2 hours through Facebook and one email to get this whole project done. The only thing that we're missing is a headliner. Now, the second that she said that you had reached out to her, I jumped on board because I did my research and I know who you are and I know what you've done. And, we would love to have you on the Saturday to speak if you wanted to.
Oh boy, just put me on the spot on air.
No. Oh, no.
I'm like, okay, but you're right. I do a lot of speaking engagements related to this topic because I myself am a domestic violence survivor, and I applaud everyone who is contributing to the voice of this monster that comes in so many different comes with so many different faces, right? Because most people perceive domestic violence as physical abuse, and it has so many other forms, and it comes in financial form, it comes in mental form, it comes in manipulation form. It just comes in so many forms, and it exists within our society in different relationships, not just a male-female relationship. It's a cycle that continues repeating itself, and until we don't address it, it will continue, and it starts with the awareness. And so yourself as a sergeant, I'm just curious if that is a topic that has come up within vets.
Well, any topic you can think of. I never try to associate it with just vets. I always think of it as a community issue. Has there been stuff like that? Yes, you got hazing, you got PTSD. Now, we can talk about all these things, but we keep on stopping at a point. Now, most of these events of domestic violence, you have politicians coming in, speaking, overshadowing the point, giving out awards. What's the point of that? So Kathleen said, I know how you operate. I want to say how you roll, but
you can say how you roll. I prefer you to say how you roll because then we're right
she
here.
knows
Exactly.
she knows how I roll.
Right.
She said, Gonzalo, take care of this. And I said, what do you want? And it just happened. So we have all the preventive aspects of it. We have the legal enforcement. We have things for the kids' part. And we're not just taking care of one voice, not women. This is men, children, etc.
Right, because it impacts the community. So Kathleen, what inspired you to do this?
Well, as I said, my own personal sort of medical problems pushed me to decide to go into it. And pretty much it is very personal in a sense. It has to do with my life, but without going into too much detail with that, I see the issue, as you said, it has many different faces. It's a completely multi-dimensional issue that most people, when they do think of domestic violence, they think it's just a man beating a woman. And this view is way too simplistic. Pretty much the domestic violence can happen to men, they can happen to the LGBT community, they can happen to veterans, and veterans, especially dealing with PTSD, depression, anxiety, they could actually be in situations that they don't even realize that they are. They could be both the victim and the abuser even, and they don't realize it. And at the same time, there's also pets. And a lot of people question, well, how do pets go into this? They go into it a lot. A lot of women will...
That's a very interesting insight. You're absolutely right, because they become your companion and they get the brunt of it.
And that came up when we were talking about service dogs for veterans with medical issues. You know, that's somebody I reached out to. I don't think we were able to get them in time because it's not that many organizations in the Bronx that deal with
There's
that.
pretty much absolutely zero. And
I was trying to be nice.
Yeah. And even in New York City, even though we are a pretty progressive state, there are very little domestic violence shelters that will allow pets. And this stops people from leaving violent situations because the abuser a lot of times will end up threatening to kill or harm the pets. And the person feels like they're stuck because they don't want to leave the animal there. That's their companion. That's sometimes the only thing that keeps them calm.
It's also a living being. It's a living being.
Exactly.
And again, going back to the different phases of domestic violence, it's a society disease, period.
Yes. And not only that, but I would also say that awareness is very important. When I started collecting stories from women with domestic violence, one of the most prevalent things that I ended up finding was that a lot of them said, we didn't realize that we were being abused because there wasn't a name to it.
Right.
And this applies to so many. You know in your gut that obviously the person is doing you wrong, that they're not supposed to hit you, that they're not supposed to control you, that they're not supposed to isolate you. But if there's no name put on it, then you question yourself thinking, am I just crazy? What's going on here? I don't know. And that also stops people from seeking help, especially in cases of mental and emotional abuse and being isolated and financially controlled.
So what do you want people to gain by attending this event? And you're absolutely right with everything you're saying. I'm an advocate of everything you're sharing, because I didn't even know I was in a domestic violent relationship until I started doing character development for a character that I had been cast in a play. That's how I learned that I was in.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, this is very many years ago, but primarily because it was a name-calling thing that, you know, after a while you're constantly being reminded or called or being reminded of what you're doing wrong, what you're doing wrong, what you're doing wrong. After a while that kind of plays on you, and now you're walking around life kind of like shattered.
Yeah, but then you saw how to fix that. Now you're Wonder Woman, and that's why,
I love that.
that's what Kathleen is trying to do. That's what she wanted to get out.
I love it.
And so if you need assistance, this is the place to go.
Great.
Well, not only just assistance, I would also say that if you need to even just connect with people, because sometimes that's the best thing to make you realize what's going on and to seek out help, is if you know that there are other people out there who are experiencing it.
Absolutely. And thank you for doing this. It's very important that you speak out. You
Yes.
not hold on to it and carry it. You're not alone. You're not alone. Do you have any last words before we go?
Yes, I do, actually. I would like to say that if you are a domestic violence survivor, or if you're going through it, or if you're just going through a difficult time in your life, please come tomorrow. It's at Holy Family School, 2169 Black Rock Avenue in the Castle Hill area. It's from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And once again, as I said, because sometimes the best thing to do, the first step that you can take, is to realize that you are not alone.
Great.
Can I
Thank
jump
you.
in,
Sure,
Tim?
really quick.
If you're suicidal or you believe that you are in danger to becoming, I want you to reach out to my organization. The information should be there. If you're active duty, there's Military One Source. If you're a Veteran Crisis Line. If you're in the tri-state area, NYU Lagoon is a partner of ours, and I'll be happy to connect you with them as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I hope you guys are getting this. You know, it's all about elevating each other, and that's what we're doing. So Telling Our Stories, once again, is taking place on Saturday, October 28th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at Holy Family School, located on 2169 Black Rock Avenue in the Bronx. For more information, you can email Kat Canzoniero. It's Canzoniero @gmail.com. It's Kat, KAT, CANZONIERO @gmail.com. I repeated that in case there's somebody out there that's really in need. All right, we are taking a quick break, but don't go anywhere. Bobby C's A Weekly Sports Roundup is coming up next.